I'm sorry, we're seeing effects here of disinflation and global slowdown and the relative strength of the United States. Do you believe in the relative? Do you believe that the U.S. can be distinct and different from the rest of the world in the coming quarters?
No, in fact, I think that one of the big themes of the coming years is going to be one of peak America. So one of the big trends that we have outlined for the coming year really is the fact that the performance of the American stock market today is close to a 100-year high, which is relative to the rest of the world. And that's about as stretched as it's ever been. And it's not just the stock market, it's practically all assets, the interest rate differential between US and the rest of the world, the value of the US dollar. You take all the US assets together, and this is about as expensive as they have been, and their relative performance is as stretched as it's been in practically the entire history of investing. So I think that at some point in time, this is going to snap back. And for me, that's going to be really the big trade for the coming few years.
But Ruchir, overall, do foreign investors like treasuries? Does Japan like treasuries? Do China investors like treasuries?
Well, as long as the interest rate differential is so large, yeah, of course, the relative attraction's there. But I'm talking about change at the margin. You know, one of the big themes that we have sort of worked with is the fact that every decade there is something which captures the imagination of the investing world, some really big theme. Like last decade, it was all about BRICS and commodities. The decade before that, it was all about NASDAQ, technology.
And this is what, trade?
Yeah, in terms of the fact that I think that this decade, it's been all about America. This has been America's decade, that if you look at the relative performance of America compared to the rest of the world, this has all been about American outperformance. The American stock market over the past decade has nearly tripled in value, whereas the stock markets of the rest of the world have done actually nothing. It's a role reversal from what we saw last decade, at least compared to emerging markets. So my big sort of point here as an investor is the fact that the next decade is going to be about a role reversal in the way that we have always seen, that whenever you get one big trend which is too stretched, it tends to snap back in the subsequent decade, without exception in America's post-war, or rather like in the world's post-World War II history.